always it's Daedalus. I thought this time I would read a few books that my mom used to read me when I was a kid, when it was time for bed. So I have The 11th Hour by Graham Base, Curious George by H.A. Ray, Harry and Larry the Fisherman by Richard Scarry, and Stella Luna by Janelle Cannon. This one's one of my favorites. It's pretty good. So I'll end with that one. But all these, really good memories when I was little. So The 11th Hour, I think, is Stella Luna and The 11th Hour are two of my favorite ones. So I just got this. I found this at the base library and had an idea for this video. So I think I'll start with that one. And the pages make a nice sound, I think. Alright, The 11th Hour. When Horace turned 11, he decided there should be some kind of celebration for my friends, he said, and me. For though I've been the age of 8 and 9 and 6 and 7, this is the very first time I've ever been 11. With that, he set to work and wrote the name of every guest, and then 11 sorts of food that elephants like the best. He wrote the invitations next and sent them off that day, and finally 11 games for everyone to play. Now Horace was a clever lad. He planned the day with care, ensuring that his party would be quite a grand affair. But only in the kitchen was his genius unfurled, for elephants are verily the best cooks in the world. He started off with cheesecake full of strawberries and cream, and then moved on through the pastries to a chocolate supreme. And though it may be said, perhaps, that Horace made a mess, the feast that he created was fantastic, nonetheless. 'Twas early in the morning when the party guests arrived. They were all wearing costumes, most intriguingly contrived. The pig came as an admiral, the zebra as a punk, the rhino was an astronaut, his spacesuit made of junk. The swan arrived as Princess Pure, a most enchanting sight, bejeweled with rows of precious stones and dressed in purest white. And with her came an Indian, with arrows, spear, and bow, a handsome Bengal tiger, whom no one seemed to know. The mouse came as a musketeer, his head and hat held high, a swagger in his footsteps, and a twinkle in his eye. The cat was Cleopatra, Queen of Egypt and the Nile, and masquerading as a judge was Sam the crocodile. And then there were a pair of twins, two sisters, both giraffes, who dressed as angels and received a round of laughs. Their halos shone upon their heads, two shiny golden rings, and from their nylon tutus spread painted cardboard wings. Their guests were met by Horace as they stepped into the hall. He dressed as centurion of Rome. He dressed as a centurion of Rome before the fall, and once inside they looked around and noticed with a smile. The way the hall had been designed, in high Renaissance style. No sooner had they entered than a rumor filled the air. And stopped the conversation as the news spread everywhere. Their host had made a banquet. It was huge, immense in size, and one by one the guests were drawn within to feast their eyes. Sorry about that. I turned the volume off. For there upon the table was the feast that Horace made, a wondrous spread of cakes and buns and jugs of lemonade. And in its midst a centerpiece of grand design was placed, that left no doubt that young Horace had superb artistic taste. But if the guests had hoped to eat the banquet there and then, they soon found out that their host had plans for what they'd eat and when. For Horace told them firmly not a crumb they would devour, until the time that he had set, the 11th hour. The games began at 8:05. A sack race marked the start, with sacks of every size and shape, so everyone took part. They set off at a cracking pace, with Eric to the fore, but close behind the others hopped on trotter, hoof, and paw. They raced across the croquet lawn, and then up towards the house, but as they reached the halfway point, the pig tripped on the mouse. He landed with a heavy thud, and several others fell. But Kilroy kept his balance and went on to win as well. The ballroom was the venue for the second party game. Though the rules were simple, no one seemed to know the aim. They charged around a ring of chairs beneath the chandeliers, while Sam played Mozart's magic flute and British grenadiers. And one by one, the chairs became just piles of splintered wood. The guests were all agreed that this new game was jolly good. Then, as the final chair collapsed, they stopped and checked the score. And since no one had won at all, they settled on a draw. The pig procured a pack of cards, and soon a game began. But unbeknown to all the rest, the Admiral had a plan. For Oliver won every trick. His conquest was complete. A string of luck? Or could it be the porker was a cheat? A little later in the day, some guests played snakes and ladders upon a board that squirmed and turned with pythons, asps, and adders. The board was set, the race was on, and the game had just begun. Then Thomas went and ate the die, so no one ever won. A cricket match was organized for those who knew the game. The twin giraffes had no idea, but fielded just the same. But Oliver, a boastful pig, had made it understood that when it came to batting, he was really rather good. The tiger donned keeper's gloves and crouched behind the stumps and waited for his chance to show his skill at leaps and jumps. The pig went for a mighty swing, but only clipped the ball, and Maxwell leapt and caught him out. Pride comes before a fall. The cricket match had finished when the zebra took his cue and challenged Tiny Kilroy to a game of pool or two. But Kilroy's skill was quite immense for somebody so small. Though Eric thought he'd win host down, he didn't sink a ball. The other guests played a lively game of blind man's bluff. With Piggy in the middle, you'd think he had enough. He blundered blindfolded around the room and groped and grabbed and gripped, while all the others squealed with joy and dodged and ducked and dipped. A tennis match was underway a little later on, with Crocodile and Tiger versus Elephant and Swan. The elephant was shaky. It appeared he'd lost his nerve. The score was 40-30, with Crocodile to serve. Sam tossed the ball in the air and struck it with such a force that Horace didn't see it upon its fateful course. And sure enough, it hit poor Horace square on the head. Game, set, match, the tiger cried. That's life, poor Horace said. And meanwhile, midst Egyptian columns, row on silent row, a seeker searched while others hid, a game that we all know. But though her eyes were large and bright, the cat's success was small, for while she searched with utmost care, she found no one at all. And far above, upon a hill, beyond the tennis court, the rhino and the zebra sat in silence, deep in thought. They studied every rook and pawn, each king and queen and knight. Then both agreed it looked too hard, and quit without a fight. The final game was tug-of-war, 2 teams of equal weight. But every mind was on the feast. The time was getting late. The rhino slipped. The game was lost. They cared not in the least. For finally the hour had come. 'Twas time to eat the feast. My friends, said Horace to his guests, my friends, lend me your ears. For now it is that I, your host, have reached 11 years. But if he planned to make a speech, his virtues to espouse, he missed his chance, 'cause everyone took off towards the house. They raced each other up the stairs, 11 steps in all, then past the marble statues leading to the banquet hall. And there they stopped. Nobody spoke. They stood in disbelief. For all the food had disappeared. Aghast, they cried, a thief! The cakes had turned to scattered crumbs. No cream was to be seen, and nothing now remained where once the chocolate mousse had been. The centerpiece had been toppled. Not a strawberry was left. But who, they cried, could possibly have managed such a theft? The zebra said, it wasn't I. By all my stripes, I'd rather die. The tiger said, it wasn't me. I've far too much integrity. Then Cora cried, it wasn't us. We wouldn't dare make such a fuss. Then Cora squeaked, I'm far too small. One mouse could never eat it all. The swan looked darkly at the pig. The thief must be someone who's big. But Oliver denied all guilt and said, now Thomas, he's well built. The rhino sobbed through sniffs and tears. I've known our host for years and years, and though my appetite is large, I must deny this dreadful charge. The cat had yet to say a word, which Eric thought could be inferred as prima facie evidence of feline guilt, this offense. But Alexandra lashed her tail. Your theories are to no avail. We cats do not steal others' food. It's wicked, bad, and very rude. The judge was next. I too deny, although I have no alibi, all blame for this horrendous crime. He babbled on for quite some time. I'm not the crime of crocodile, to fake a tear or force a smile. My countenance is plain to read. My friends, I did not do this deed. The The mystery was curious. The guests were at a loss, but Horace had initiative. He showed them who was boss. The feast is gone. We can't change that. But now it's clear to see that what we need is cheering up. Just leave it all to me. He rushed into the kitchen and was gone for quite a while, then reemerged with sandwiches, a flourish, and a smile. This lot is not as fancy as the birthday feast, he said, but 11 times as healthy, 'cause it's made with whole wheat bread. Then as they sat and ate their lunch, there came one last surprise. When Horace asked for everyone to kindly close their eyes. There it was, the birthday cake. The guests all clapped and cheered. He'd kept it in the kitchen, and it hadn't disappeared. And so they picnicked on the lawn until the evening fell, and everyone left satisfied. The day had finished well. But in the end, although the thief was someone they all knew, they never found out who stole that feast. Can you? And then the other part of this book is there's clues along the way to help you figure out who actually stole the feast. And so there's the inside story thing. That's a lot of spoilers. But here it says, with a little close observation and some simple deduction, it is quite easy to discover which of the 11 animals stole the feast. Look carefully at the pictures, and when you think you know who it was, use the first letter of that animal's name to decode the panel below. Here's what to do. If you think the thief was, say, Maxwell, then call M the letter A, and go on through the alphabet, so N equals B, O equals C, and so on. In this way you can decode the hidden message below, which will tell you who stole the feast, and more importantly, how it was done. So, I know who stole the feast. That was because in my younger years I was quite impertinent and cheated and opened up the spoilers. But if you guys feel that you don't want to try to figure it out, then that's fine. I can either do a video of trying to figure it out with you guys, or just reading the spoilers. So anyway, the spoilers are actually pretty interesting, pretty in depth. It's kind of cool how it all fit together. But anyway, that was The 11th Hour by Graham Bass, and that, I believe, is where I'll stop for today. And I'll get to these other books some other time, hopefully tomorrow. But it's 9:15 at night right now, so that means it's 7:15 in the morning on the East Coast of the United States. So, to everyone in Europe, I guess, good afternoon. To my friends and family and everybody in the States, good morning. And open your curtains, rise and shine, up and at 'em. Time to start the day. But I guess since this video is to help people sleep, just stay with the 9:14 at night, so you can go to sleep. Anyway, I'm rambling, but yeah. So I will read to you guys later.